Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Chaos Child, and hopefully more Chaos Child and less Screaming Bird. He's being okay. He's over there talking. I'm trying to ignore him while he screams. It's extremely hard, but we're going to do our best and hope he stays not an asshole. Anyway, we were just going back. Well, we're popping back into the clinic. I think we're still at school. Because everybody was left behind. Anyway. Oh, sorry. Did I wake you? Oh, okay, so it is after school. All right. I couldn't remember.
Huh? Brother Chikuru? Shouldn't you be at school?
I came over early because I was worried about you. Oh, right, because we thought maybe she was there to attack Yui. I don't think that Yui's a psych. I don't know. Well, maybe that's what they're going with. But to me, it feels more like she was trying to get in because she knew we were there and Yui just happened to be at the door. You know what I mean? But because I don't think that if she was coming after us, like if she was trying to kill us, I don't think she gives a shit who's in her way. You know what I mean? So I don't think she was really going after Yui. It's just Yui happened to be there by the door. And I still wondering if maybe she's not trying to kill us. You know what I mean? Is she trying to protect us? Because she never says did she ever say I was gonna kill you? She said I found you. I mean, she was lighting fires around, but like, I don't know. What if they explain that away with like, she was like trying to like kill the whatever magic spirit around. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to explain how she like threw fire at us, but you know. Anyway,
Huh? You're being silly.
Yui slowly sat up from the bed and smiled a tired smile.
Don't bite my headset. Nasty bird.
Aw. She must have felt dizzy for a moment because she leaned forward and grabbed her forehead. Her face was still pale and the ivy looked like it was painful. It's fine. You can stay lying down. But I'll tell Kurusu on you if you don't. Those eyes were always... Oh, those eyes. Because I was looking at her eyes like they're just like Bambi eyes over there. Those were always the best words to use on Yui. She frowned for a second, but then laid down and pulled up the covers. Where's Arimura? The other bed in the exam room was empty.
Around lunchtime, a detective named Shinjo came and they left. She said she'd be back.
Shinjo was probably asking her about last night. Is she feeling okay?
Yeah, she looked okay.
I see.
She told me to tell you thanks.
Huh? My eyes went wide as I looked at my foster sister. Arimura? Said thanks? You probably misheard her.
That's not true. Arimura is a good person. I think she's grateful to you.
If you didn't hear it wrong, then she must have just gone temporarily crazy. I pulled a stool up to Yui's bed and sat down. And then I watched her as she lay under the covers. It might have been the first time I'd looked at her like this, come to think of it.
You being good over there?
Did she have some kind of powers? It just seemed hard to believe. Maybe I was mistaken. I hoped I was. People were saying that the killings were over and that the return of the new generation madness was at its end. But the killer still hadn't been caught.
Yeah, you talking nice? Oh, do you want... Because you being nice? You want me to tell people? Want me to tell people you being nice? And you were sitting over there talking before? Chatting away, being good. Not you. You biting my headset, jerk. You were sitting over there talking before, and I swear it sounded like you said, pretty bird. Oh, yeah. Sometimes you're a pretty bird. Right now you're being pretty bird. Yeah. Now you're being good, and we have to constantly, when you're being good, tell you that you're being a good boy and that you are a pretty bird so that you don't scream. And when you scream, we need to do the best we can to just ignore you. Oh my God, just ignore you. Unless you're just constantly doing it and then you just go and time out in the other room. But if you just scream for a minute or two, just like we tried to do in the last episode. We just got to do that. A lot of these I record on the same day, so like he's had like lots of good days that were probably all one day. There was like a group in there that was like
I've recorded like 3 or 4 parts in one day. Like, so, anyway. The idea of the killer being after not just me, Arimura, and Yuki, but also Yui was too scared to contemplate.
Huh? What's wrong?
As I tried to figure out the best way to explain things, I heard a very uncomfortable voice. She must have noticed that I was staring at her silently. My sister was looking at me in confusion. Huh? Well...
Oh, Takeru. Welcome back. It's not time for him to be back, is it?
Kurusu was standing at the door holding a tray with a bowl of rice porridge. Yuki was next to her with a pair of spare pajamas. Kurusu put the tray next to the bed and looked at me, concerned. I think it's funny the spare pajamas are in a paper bag. You wouldn't put them in a paper bag and bring them downstairs.
You left school early. Are you not feeling well?
No, that's not it. Something was bothering me.
Something's bothering you? It's like everything bothers you. What new?
Even if Yui was a psychic, I still wasn't sure if I should tell Kurusu about it. She'd just worry more. But she cared about her sister. I knew that. It was probably better if she knew everything. What's the best way to say it? And then I remembered the method that Kunasato had used on me. I glanced at Yuki. She probably wouldn't like it, but it was the only way I could think of. Hey, Yui? I know you probably don't want to remember a lot about last night, but... Did you see Arimura and Yamazoe holding something in their hands? Huh? Kurusu and Yuki were shocked too.
What do you mean?
Did you see them holding things that look like swords?
Swords? Hey, Takeru, what are you saying?
Kurusu grabbed me by the arm. She couldn't see the dai sword herself, but she knew exactly what I was asking.
Yui, you didn't see anything like that, right?
No, I didn't. Nope. Yui must have been surprised by Kurusu's sudden outburst. It was obvious she was telling a lie. I could see from the look on her face that she thought she'd seen something she wasn't supposed to see. Yamazoe, I'm sorry. Can I ask you to do something I know you won't want to do? If Yui is one, I'll have to protect her too until the bad guy is caught, just like I'm protecting you and Arimura.
Okay.
Yuki was surprised, but she seemed willing to help her old friend. She put the pajamas on the bed and stretched her hand out into empty air.
Yui, watch carefully, okay?
Huh? What's going on?
Yuki, no, don't!
Kurusu let go of my arm and grabbed onto Yui, as if she was trying to stop her from showing it to Yui. Kurusu, I'm sorry, but we have to know before it's too late, so... So she is, huh? You can see what's in Yamazoe's hands, right, Yui? Her fucking skull sword! That is so fucking badass for this poor child. Look at that shit! That is amazing! Yuki slowly drew it out of thin air. I love it. So unexpected, and yet there was a split second right before it appeared. I was like, it's probably like, it's not going to be what you think, and yeah, wow. As it shone with the light no normal person could see, it was the weapon that connected reality to the direct sea and its ocean of negative energy, the Dai Sword. It was obvious that Yui's eyes were following Yuki's sword.
You can see it, Yui? Can you see it?
Yui looked like she was about to cry. Then she nodded, slowly. Yamazoe, that's enough. Thanks. The Dai Sword disappeared from Yuki's hands. There was nothing left but an awkward silence.
This can't be happening.
I was right. Yui was a psychic. And Senri Minamasawa had almost killed her last night. Okay, so maybe Senri is trying to kill us all. I don't know. Or she's trying to collect us to save us. October 24th, 2015, Saturday. Still my birthday in game! Woo! We had to party for multiple days. I know this smell.
Hey, don't bite my headset. Don't bite in the headset, nasty bird. Ow! You're nasty. You're chewing on my cord.
That was the first thing Shinjo thought as he ducked under the crime scene tape and went inside the third-floor condo. He knew this smell. But from where? Oh, that's right, New York. When he was training in America, a local colleague had taken him to a cheap steakhouse. The waiter had brought him a disgusting grilled lamb steak. Oh, are you saying that a dead body? Oh! This one's burned, so this was what's-her-face. The smell was a mix of rotting animal blood and burnt fat. He hadn't even taken a single bite. And that was precisely the smell that filled the room right now. The source of the stench was in the middle of the room on top of the dinner table. The forensic people must have finished their job because it had already had a sheet placed over it. Now it was just waiting to be carried out to the corner. Shinjo put his hands together a moment in silent prayer and then flipped up the sheet. The second he saw it, he yanked the handkerchief out of his pocket and forced it up to his mouth to stop himself from throwing up. He knew it was disrespectful to the dead, but he couldn't help it. Good evening, Shinjo. He looked up and saw a younger detective talking to the forensics people. The detective lacked his usual energy. This was probably the worst case he'd ever seen. Shinjo didn't want to look bad in front of the younger kid, so he forced the handkerchief away from his mouth. Yeah, good evening. Did we find out who the body is? Well, the body's in bad shape, and she's not wearing clothes. All we know for sure right now is that she's a woman, age anywhere from her teens to her 30s. He could see hints on the charred flesh that indicated the body had once belonged to a woman. But the face was so burnt there was no way to distinguish any features. She's not wearing any clothes because they burnt off. Wow. And even stranger, there was what looked like a metal stick coming out of her mouth. The rod came out all the way below her abdomen like a skewer used to cook a kebab. What the fuck? Huh. About 10 days ago, we got a report of a piece of rebar being stolen from a nearby construction site. The detective flipped open his notebook. Rebar? The stuff they use in concrete walls? Yes, that's what's coming out of the victim's mouth. I think I saw this in an old movie once. It was an old 80s horror flick that he'd seen with some friends in college. The movie was about a bunch of travelers who got lost in the jungle and eaten by cannibals. In one scene, someone had been cooked like this. And there was one more thing. This incident reminded him of a number of others he'd seen recently. But now is it like, did the person kill her and make her, like, burn herself alive like this? Or was it Mina Misawa that did it? I wonder, because, like, you think, oh, Mina Misawa, like, burned this woman alive. But then at the same time, you're like, but did she? Or is that why they wanted it to look like this, so that you're like, she really is bad? And they kind of put you on that path instead of, like, you know what I mean? It's convenient is all I'm saying. So, I don't know which way. I mean, like, it could go either way. I'm not really sure yet, but I kind of doubt a little bit that it was her. If it was her, it was her, but I kind of doubt it a little because I'm like, I've read enough books and seen enough movies and played enough games where you're like, oh, she totally did it. Oh my God, she actually got in and murdered someone. And then you're like, oh no, it was the other killer. It made it look like her because this woman just happened to like light herself on fire and kebab herself. Because you know what I mean? Like the other guy cut his arm off and like eating it. Like, so like she could, I don't know why she would jam a rod down her throat and burn herself alive. That seems like that'd be extremely hard to do, but she was crazy. Like, because they do whatever like they tried to do to us, right? So I don't think it was Senri. I think it was whoever is like getting into your heads and making you see this delusion that you're alone and then doing all this crazy stuff. You know what I mean? Like chopping off your own arm or like cutting open your stomach and putting a speaker in it or kebabbing yourself, you know? Oh, this is going to be the kebab. She's going to be the human kebab. Oh, God. Anyway. Okay, yeah. This incident reminded him of a number of others he'd seen recently. The return of the new generation madness. Is this another one? No, it's not the 23rd anymore. Yeah, but you don't know when she died. On October 23rd, the killer had spent the whole day going after Takuru Miyashiro and his friends, which meant the target had to be one of them. Shinjo? Oh, sorry. Continue. Shinjo put the sheet back on the body and made another short prayer. We don't have an ID on the victim, but I think it's safe to assume that this is the owner of this room. Riko Haida, right? Haida, right, yeah. That's right. He flipped through his notebook and relayed to Shinjo what he'd learned from the condo's manager. 18 years old, single, lived alone. Supposedly she worked for a tech support company out of a temp agency. When I tried to call the agency, they didn't exist. Either they went out of business or it's a front company for a prostitution ring. We're looking into it now. So what makes you think she's the victim? Shinjo took out his own notebook and started to copy down the things he thought were important. Well, for one thing, there's no sign of anyone but her coming into this room ever since she moved in. I'm sorry? The forensics tells me that all the fingerprints and footprints in the room probably belong to her, and there's no sign that anyone wiped them away. Of course, there are some other fingerprints, but they're all old. They probably belong to the former occupants or a maintenance worker. Forensics thinks they can be ruled out. Could you imagine the former occupants? What the fuck? So, like, you could just put your fingerprint on the wall and then, like, they paint over walls. Like, at least they do here. Like, you know, they just slap paint on everything, so. That's why it peels off your cabinets in your bathroom, because they just paint over them and you're like, the fuck is this 400 layers of paint like a wrapping paper? It's gross. Anyway. The only shoe marks at the entrance belong to her, too. When we found the body, both doors were locked from the inside and the windows were locked, too, which means it has to be her. And she probably did it to herself. Shinjo felt a little like he was going to faint. So how did the killer get in here and do this? It would take some serious equipment to roast a whole person. You couldn't get that in here without leaving any traces. Although, I mean, unless she was also... She had pyrokinesis or whatever, you know? The younger detective must have been thinking the same thing. See, this is why it leans more and more like the amount of that it took and that it was Senri that did it, but I don't know. I mean, if she died in a more normal way, we could just write it off as a suicide without having to bother you, but there's no normal way to die. I'm sorry, sir. And there's a security camera on the first floor, right? Yes, one of my men is looking at the footage in the manager's room right now, but hasn't found anything yet. I see. Shinjo looked at the victim and then at the forensics people, who were frowning as they talked. From the look of it, we won't be able to determine a time of death. Correct. Not without an autopsy. If the smoke alarms went off, we would have known right away, but... The two of them looked up at the useless devices on the ceiling. They're broken, I'm told. Correct. Who broke them? No, if hers are the only fingerprints in here, then it has to be her, right? But why would she do that? Shinjo couldn't make any sense of it, because she was going to burn herself, see? Anyway, Shinjo, I've never seen someone burnt to death, but do they normally burn like this? No idea. Never seen one either. The forensics people all say they can't figure it out. Even gasoline couldn't do this. And there was no smell of gasoline anyway. The only stench was of burning meat. Ugh. I feel like if you were a cop and you went to, you'd either get so desensitized to shit, or like a firefighter or anybody, and you smelled like burnt people, like for anything, that you would never be able to eat meat again because you're like, oh, we're grilling steak. Yeah, it smells like that fire that time. Like, how do you disassociate that? Like, I feel like you'd have to either be really good at disassociating and be like, ha ha ha, not thinking about it, or like, because smell is like one of the strongest senses that you have. Like, for like triggering memory. Like, sometimes you're like, oh my God, I just got this weird nostalgia feeling from the smell, and I don't know why, but it's a smell you smelt at some point, but like sometimes you can remember, and sometimes you're just like, you just know you've smelt it before, or it triggers memory. Like, so like, I just feel like that would be dangerous, you know? I don't know. I saw this on TV once, but no, never mind. Say it. You won't get mad. Depends on what you say. It was a special on psychic phenomena around the world. One section was on spontaneous human combustion. Stop it, fool. Shinjo poked the younger detective's head lightly. The detective apologized, but Shinjo hadn't stopped him because it was too unbelievable to be true. He'd stopped him for the opposite reason. He was probably right. Which meant he didn't want rumors flying around, even inside the police department. Pyrokinesis, I think they called it. Mio Kunasato, Hinai Arimura, and Takuro Miyashiro had all used the word repeatedly. It was the power to set things on fire with your mind, and they said the woman that was after Miyashiro and his friends, Senri Minamisawa, had it. Was this Riko Haida woman attacked by a pyrokinetic then? He came back to the same conclusion he'd reached earlier. But then soon shook his head. That doesn't explain it either. How'd she get the rebar used to skewer the woman inside the room? And how'd she get it skewered? Shinjo looked at the large window that dominated the room's east side. The curtain was open and he could see the chaotic city of Shibuya outside. If the building was taller, the view would be impressive. From this height, you could see the dirty backside of the surrounding condos and multi-purpose buildings. It was hard to call it a nice view. And that probably made the rent a lot cheaper, though, he thought to himself as he began to examine the glass window. If the killer had used some kind of power to get the rebar in from the building across the street, this window would have been shattered. But there wasn't a scratch on it. I don't think I'm going to get anywhere by myself here. He hated to say it, but he needed a specialist like Mio Kunasato. So for now, he decided to focus on gathering information. But the thing is, if she did it to herself, how'd she get the rebar in here? She would just walk in and they're like, I see her carrying it in a security video. Huh. But why? You know what I mean? Like, everything when they show up is, unless this killer, because they have to be close enough. You know what I mean? They're close enough that they're talking to us. Well, they were close enough in Utani's case in the first one, right? We saw he answered the door, they were there. And then he, killed himself. You know what I mean? So they kind of forced him to do it. So they could have kind of come, did the knocking, she lets them in, but if they're wearing gloves or whatever, they give her the rebar and then they leave. But then, but nobody sees them, right? You know, they don't show up on camera. So, I don't know. How the hell? I don't know. Anyway, they just don't show up on camera. They can make the cameras see what they want. I wonder if they're going to explain that when this person comes to light. Oh, yeah, they can be invisible. Maybe. I don't know. They make us think we're alone, and then we go kind of crazy, and then, so, I don't know. Shinjo? What? A light tap on his back brought him back to reality. I got word from the guy looking at the security camera footage. He found a clear shot of the victim's face. He did? Let's go. When he finally got out of the room, he felt like he could breathe again. Disrespectful to the dead or not, he took a deep breath when he got outside. I'm sure she's okay with it. She's like, nah, I get it. He went down to the first floor and looked at the video on the monitor in the manager's room. He says Riko Haida always hid her face from the camera. Was there some reason she didn't want to be videotaped? Her face got burned during the Shibuya earthquake, he said, and she hated people seeing her. Oh, so that's why. But this time he happened to get a glimpse of her. The timestamp on the screen indicated it was late at night on the 12th of October. October 12th? Isn't that... He remembered without writing that day down, so he flipped open his notebook. He remembered writing that day down, sorry. Oh, right. That's the first day Miyashiro and Arimura were attacked by Senri Minamisawa. Here's Riko Haida, sir. He quickly turned his eye back to the screen. That's interesting. I was wondering when they said, oh, her face got badly burned. I'm like, that sounds like, quote unquote, Senri. So are you saying that Rika is the one that was chasing? Because here's the thing, and like I mentioned this, I think, in the last part. Her eyes are blue, and she's got the long pink hair, but then Senri's badge showed her eyes were red. Or it's probably supposed to be brown, but they were red. You know what I mean? Like anime red. So it's like, why are her eyes blue, but they were red in the photo? And I was like, look, maybe they're going to try to explain that away, but maybe that explains it, because Senri isn't the one that was killing us. Rika is. Which would make sense. Hold on a second. Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, so did she... Huh. Anyway, let's just keep going and figure it out. But this is interesting now. In the video, the door to the entrance opened and a woman came staggering inside. Perhaps her leg didn't work right, or maybe she was injured, because she could tell she was dragging it. Yeah, no, this is her. Her hair covered her face, making it impossible to read her expression. Wait, is that... Yeah. Shinjo and the other detective gasped. Riko Haida was holding a long object in her hands, something like a staff, and using it to support herself. It looked exactly like the iron rebar that was currently skewering her body. Are we sure it's her that's dead now? Wait, she was skewered on rebar that she brought in herself? It was just a recording, but Shinjo found himself holding his breath nervously as if he was watching live footage. She couldn't kill any of us, and then so she ended up dead? She walked right by the security camera. It did seem like she wanted to avoid showing her face. But she must have tripped on something when she was right under the camera because she staggered. When she did, her hair flew backward and he could finally get a glimpse of her face. Shinjo's eyes went wide. It looks just like her. All of her features matched the description. They were identical to the composite sketch based on a description by someone who had barely survived an attack by this woman. No way. This is... The girl in the video was... She had Senri's bat. And that's exactly why they did it. So this is a good twist and I like it. Like, because her eye color is different, but you're like, I mean, I don't know, maybe the experiments did something or they're not going to explain it or whatever. But how she has the long pink hair and then like Senri had the long pink hair. So that you'd be like, oh, it is Senri. Oh my God. And like, whatever, you know, but yet it never was. She just happened to have her badge. And like, and I think the only reason I thought, even before they started saying, oh my God, Senri, it was hers because I saw her in the intro, right? And I'm like, so Senri, I don't think Senri is dead. And then I'm like, I wonder if she's the one. Made sense. Like, I wonder if she's the one that's following us. And then they showed her with the long pink hair, and I was like, okay. And then they're like, that's Senri. And you're like, okay. And then like, but it's really not. Ah, nice job. I approve. The girl in the video was... So she has Senri's ID. Well, Senri had an ID probably... So Senri could be dead, but I don't think she is because you see her in the intro. You do. You see a girl with long pink pigtails in the frickin' intro. But, even if she was, like, it's possible that Rika got her ID because, when Senri used to go into the thing before the earthquake. You know what I mean? So she would probably have an ID to get into because she wasn't kept there. She wasn't kept at the frickin' research place. She was allowed to go in and out, right? So she lived a normal life and then went there. So she probably had a badge to be able to get in, you know, to go for her treatments or whatever, which is weird, you know? You think someone would, like, assist her or, like, walk her, but so, maybe that's why she had an ID? I don't know. Anyway.
Don't worry, Huey. I'll stay with you every minute until it's safe. Okay. Come on, cheer up, okay?
Okay. Yui nodded. She was still pale. Not only had she gone through a lot last night, but she just found out that she was a psychic. She wasn't looking good at all. I wonder what kind of power she has. I explained to her what I thought she needed to know, and then told her no matter what, she must never be alone from now on. It was true that the return of the new generation madness had come to a temporary halt when Senri Minamisawa hadn't been able to kill anyone on the 23rd. Well, okay, now we know it wasn't Senri, and she technically killed herself, so... But no matter what the rest of the world said, it felt far too early to declare this whole thing over. Yeah, because I'm going to guarantee you, she came to try to attack Yui. It's not Senri. Unless Senri is the one actually killing everyone. I swear it's someone we know, though. You know what I mean?
You know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm actually a little excited. Huh? It's been so long since I've gotten to take baths with you or sleep next to you. At some point, you started growing up and acting like Yuto's big sister all the time, right? Sometimes, I just want you to be my little sister. Aw, jeez.
Yui smiled just a little. What about Yuto?
He can stay in Dad's room for a while. I told him he could sleep with us in here, but I guess that's too embarrassing for him. I told him I didn't mind, but... You're his first love, big sis No-No. Oh, keep that a secret, okay? No matter what. I'm honored. Hey, Takuru, you hear that? You better try harder or he'll steal my heart away.
Huh. Sometimes Kurusu would say things like that just to enjoy my reaction. Lately, I'd gotten a lot better at not reacting to the way she wanted me to. I simply snorted and she puffed up her cheeks and pouted. You're like, whoa, stepsister. Look, what kind of porn do you think this is? And so about your power, you really have no clue what it is? The small smile vanished from Yui's face.
I don't know.
Does anything special seem to happen around you?
Special? Maybe with you.
Like what?
Like, I know when he's lying and stuff. That's not a psychic power. Every big sister can do that. I can always tell when Takuru's lying, for one thing.
Don't bring me into this. This time my don't react skill failed me. Kurusu chuckled, finally satisfied. Damn it. I felt annoyed for a moment, and then I realized that Kurusu was trying to send me a message. Try not to scare Yui if you can, okay? That's what she seemed to be saying. Yeah, she was right. A normal girl like Yui would never be able to handle knowing there might be a serial killer after her. So Kurusu was deliberately pretending to be cheerful. I realized that my tone had probably been too harsh and relaxed it. Anything else? It doesn't matter what.
Anything else?
Yui looked down and thought for a minute.
You know, this doesn't happen often, but sometimes I feel like I can hear Yu's voice.
His
voice? Yeah, like when he forgot something and he's in trouble, or he got hurt and he's crying when bad things happen. I hear it like that.
Aw, she has magic brother psychic powers. That's useless.
And then I'll hurry to Yu's school, and it turns out that he really did get hurt.
I see. Maybe that's it. I wasn't a specialist, so I couldn't say for sure, but maybe you could call it psychic sympathy between siblings. Kurosato might know more, but for whatever reason, she had it out for us, and there was no way I was telling her about Yui.
Does that ever happen to Yuto?
Don't worry, he doesn't have any powers. I'd already checked yesterday. I'd shown him Yamazoi's dai sword, and he hadn't shown any response at all.
It feels like I'm worried about you, but he's not worried about me. That kind of makes me mad. But it's a good thing, right? That means he's safe, right?
Yeah, he shouldn't be a target. When Yui heard that, she finally seemed to feel better. Kurusu softly put her hand to Yui's head and rubbed it. Look, she just cringed. She was like, "The fuck are you doing?"
You really are a good girl, Yui. Hey, stop that. Stop. No.
Kurusu grabbed Yui before she could escape and held her tight. She looked like she was about to kiss her at any second.
I like you, Yui. I love you. Big Sis Nono's being kind of creepy. Help me, Brother Takuru.
I couldn't help but smile. Let her do it until she tires herself out, Yui.
No! Save me!
Just when I thought it was safe to leave Yui with Kurusu. She's just being overly big sister. Huh? The three of us froze at the sudden sound of a knock. No, wait. We're inside our house. The knock continued. Kurusu stood up and positioned herself between Yui and the door. We're just afraid of a knock, and it's just Dad, like, guys. I motioned for her to step back and put my hand on the doorknob. I remembered the terror I'd felt at Cafe Lax and gulped. It's not the same knock. That one is like, knock. Knock. This one's like, knock, knock. Like, hello. To be honest, I was afraid. Terrified. But I was the only one who could protect them right now. It's probably just Dad. Why didn't they call out? Hello? Sorry, Mara. Huh? Suddenly I heard an easygoing voice from the other side of the door. Miyashiro, can I come in? Or are you up to something naughty with Kurusu? Oh, wait, it's you? Oh, hey there. Don't hey there me. Don't knock like that. What? I have to knock? What if I walk in on you two in the middle of something? Kurusu and I are not going to be in the middle of anything. Anyway, what do you want? Oh, right. I need to talk to you. Got a second? To me? Can you come to the dining room? Yeah, that's fine.
Should we go too?
Kurusu poked her face out from behind me and asked. Artimura stuck her hands out and shook them in what looked to me like a deliberate overreaction. No, you two just keep on being lovey-dovey. I only need to talk to Miyashiro.
Yeah?
Arimura said her usual adios gracias to a confused Kurusu, then dragged me out of the room. Psychics only. She doesn't know about Yui, I guess. I don't think we told her. What's going on? I don't know if it's something Kurusu should hear yet. Huh? Just come with me. I want to show you something. Okay. I followed Arimura as she hurried away from Kurusu's room.
Oh, Taku! How's Yui doing?
I think she's okay now. She's calmed down.
I see. Good.
Yuki was in the kitchen washing dishes. She looked at us. She let out a small sigh of relief. Even if she hadn't seen her for a long time, Yui was still her friend, and she was still worried about her.
Hina, want some tea? Yuki made it. It's really good.
Oh no, I'm about to go home. Huh? I turned to look at Arimura, surprised. I thought she was staying here because there might be another attack like last night.
Hina, you're leaving? Stay here some more. We've got no school tomorrow.
No, I can't cause any more trouble for Miyashiro's father. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting to stay this long, so I'm out of clean underwear. You don't need to worry about that stuff. You pervert! You think it's okay for me to show you used underwear? Or what? Are you demanding I show it to you? I may owe you for letting me stay the night, but I'm not going that far. Arimura pressed down on the hem of her skirt. Nobody's demanding anything. That's not what I'm talking about. Then what are you talking about? I thought you were staying here until we were sure this was all over, right? It's safer that way. Oh, I see. Arimura scratched her cheek, and then she took a more serious look. Took on a more serious look. Sari, Yuki, I'm sorry, but could you leave the room for a second? She spoke pointedly to Sarika and Yuki. The two of them exchanged glances for a moment, but Arimura wasn't allowing any room for discussion. They left the room. Tweet! Being good back there? Once we were alone, Arimura sighed a little and took her phone out of her pocket.
Yeah, you being good? Yeah?
This is actually what I wanted to talk to you about. Huh? I just got a message from Shinjo. He wants the two of us to confirm something for him right away. From Shinjo? He sent me something awful. The man has no tact. I just hate him. Arimura expanded the attached image and looked away from the phone as she handed it to me. This is a copy of the security camera video, he says. I could see in the video the face of a woman I would never forget. Senri Minamisawa. My reaction was the opposite of Arimura's. I couldn't tear my eyes away from it. You're sure that's her, right? Then you tell him, please. I don't want to talk to him anymore. Yeah, okay. Where was this? Arimura seemed annoyed. The message said it was her condo or something. They found her condo? So was she arrested? I finally managed to tear myself away from the screen and look at Arimura. She shrugged a little. Well, more or less, so it's okay for me to go home now. Thanks for everything, Miyashiro. Tell Yuki and Big Sis Tachibana that they don't have to worry worry now. What do you mean? She's dead. That woman is dead. Huh? Arimura spoke without any real emotion in her voice. Senri Minamisawa is dead? Yeah, you come up with a good way to tell Kurusu. I'm terrible at that stuff. So hard to ignore that. Anyway, that's what's up. Thanks! She grabbed the phone from my hand and quickly deleted the photo. Then she bowed and left me alone in the dining room. Sari, Yuki, I'm done talking. I'm going home, so keep Miyashiro company for a while. He's lonely. I could hear a voice from the hallway. I could also hear Sarika, Yuki, Kurusu, and Yui all talking. They were probably all saying something like, "You're leaving at this hour?" But I didn't hear their conversation at all. Senri Minamisawa is dead. The serial killer was after us. Was gone? He's like, this is anticlimactic, right? October 27th, 2015, Tuesday. It's just like jumped 3 fucking days. Riko Haida's condo was cut off from sunlight by the surrounding buildings, making the whole place feel somehow gloomy. Mio Kunisada was standing there, her eyes as cold as ever. She'd gone through all the wooden shelves and colored boxes on the walls, read every last document and receipt inside, and found nothing. You know what? When I end up skewered and burned to death and someone's got to go through every single last thing in my apartment, they're going to be here longer than 3 days is all I'm saying. You're sure there's nothing in what the police took, right? Yeah, I looked at all of it, I'm sure. Several days had passed since the death of the woman they believed to be Senri Minamisawa. The body had long since been taken out for an autopsy. A few pieces of evidence, like the table the body had been found on, had been taken by the police, but Shinjo said the clue she was looking for wasn't among them. There's nothing here. Am I wasting my time? She'd spent 2 hours searching the room. Even she was starting to feel a little concerned, but she shook her head to drive the thoughts from her mind. Next, she pulled out the magazines and comics from the shelf and began to check if anything was hidden between the pages. I'd always hide cryptic notes in the pages of books or magazines or random things. So when you die, people find these weird cryptic notes and then they think it's a big mystery, and it's really not, it's just you leaving cryptic notes. Also, when I die and there's random cryptic notes, is it because someone murdered me and left cryptic notes knowing that I said that I was going to hide cryptic notes, or was it me hiding cryptic notes? Now that's the mystery. Figure it out. Who knows? I just want to keep people guessing for a while, you know? Hey. What? Shinjo was leaning up against the wall and watching her, a frown on his face. This room was completely locked. There's no sign of anyone but her ever being here, and she herself brought in the murder weapon, a piece of rebar. What of it? How did she die? Regardless of whether it was murder or suicide. I'm not a detective. Don't look at me to solve your locked room mysteries for you. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm asking you for your opinion on the death of a gigalomaniac. Shinjo sounded unhappy as he turned to look at the spot where the burnt body had been found. A gigalomaniac is different than what you typically imagine if you were thinking of a psychic. Their powers can only be used when there's someone else for them to share their delusions with. In other words, if this was a sealed space, where no one's eyes could see, no matter whose eyes they might be, then Senri Minamisawa was just a normal human. She couldn't use her pyrokinesis. But this place wasn't sealed at all. That window, for instance. If someone was looking in from over there, it'd be easy to share her delusion. I thought of that too, of course. And then what's the problem? Ugh, nothing here either. Kunosato finished checking all the bookshelves and looked around the room, uncertain of what to do next. There wasn't a lot of furniture or appliances. The place was rather plain. The closet and desk were the first place she'd checked, but she still hadn't found what she was looking for. If Senri Minamisawa really did live here, I was sure I'd find at least some hint of the committee. Committee? Interesting. Or knowing them, did they get here before I did? Damn it! It's been too many hours since the murder. If I'd been able to look at this place first thing, I might have been able to find something first. She looked over her shoulder and glared at Shinjo. It took effort to stop herself from bitching him out. Huh, fine. I'll find them anyway. Kunosato decided to search the whole room once more. Interesting. The committee. All the paperwork inside the messy desk used the name Riko Haida. It was nothing but receipts and utility bills. But there was no sign of the bill for a phone or internet service, although she could have been using a fake name in this place. That makes sense too. But Senri's eyes are a different color, so she'd had neither, it seemed. There was no sign of her even having a landline phone. That's right, there isn't a phone anywhere. She looked around the room and found the phone jack, but it was covered in dust and showed no sign of ever having been used. The only other thing she found among the papers were receipts for food and drink from a convenience store. Senri Minamisawa had never cooked. Convenience store food was all she ate. She must have spent a lot of money on food, I bet. How had she paid for it all? The police were trying their hardest to find out, but there was no sign of a bank book or credit card in the room, and they didn't know anything about her bank account either. The committee wasn't paying her. If I could at least find her bank account, I could start trying to trace it. Senri Minamisawa was seen by Miyashiro and his friends between the night of the 23rd and the early mornings of the 24th. And it was at the night of the 24th that she was found dead, which means she died sometime after her last sighting. Kunosato had been so lost that she hadn't even realized Shinjo was talking to her. Huh? What's that? I'm saying that there were 20 hours between the last time Senri Minamisawa was seen and when her body was found. That's plenty of time. But what happened during those 20 hours or not? Okay, even what Senri Minamisawa was doing during that time, we have no clue. She hadn't even come back to her condo. What? Kunazona's expression changed for the first time. She doesn't show up on the security camera on the 24th. Not once. That's impossible. And how'd she wind up dead in this room? That's the question. The guy who checked the video must have missed it. I checked it myself. There was no mistake. Shinjo closed his eyes and rubbed them. He caused himself a good bit of eye strain. I'm having someone else check the video now, but I have no idea what this means. Fine. I'll think about it. Thanks. He covered his face with his left hand, exhausted. I'm gonna look at this room a little more and see if I can find that out too. Can you find out for me what Senri Minamisawa began using... Senri Minamisawa began using the alias Riko Haida? The committee might be involved in that too. Yeah, I'm on it. Okay, so he knows what the committee is. Do we? I don't think we ever learned. Oh, and when are the police going public with this? It hasn't been decided. There's some arguing going on about that. I think that if it made the news, we might learn more about Senri Minamisawa. I know how you feel, but don't be in such a hurry. No? What do you know about me? She glared at him with daggers in her eyes, but Shinjo shrugged and said nothing. Anyway, I'm off to get a bite to eat. What'll you do? I'm not hungry. Go. Alright, I will. Shinjo left without trying to invite her a second time. But as he opened the door, he paused as if he'd remembered something. You can look as much as you want, but the building's manager is suspicious of you. He's not convinced you're really with the police. If he calls for the local cops, there'll be trouble, so be careful. I'll keep that in mind, I guess. Your guess isn't good enough. I'm the only one they'll be getting mad at. And then he laughed, but there was no humor in his voice. It was after school in the club room and the twilight streamed in through the open windows. Kazuki was in the corner playing ESO2 and making weird noises. Her battle didn't seem to be going well, and she was making oddly sexy noises. I hope no one was outside the room got the wrong idea. That I doubt those are the noises she's making. God, we're horny. I heard a small knock on the door. Stare. Wait, it's you? Don't peek, just come inside. Is it okay? I'm not interrupting. Interrupting what? You can hear Hana all the way down the hall. She says she's busy, so don't talk to her now. Taku, wow! If they gave out certifications for understanding Hana, you'd get one easily. I don't want one. She's saying, so what, you don't care about me at all? No, stop talking about me behind my back. Wow, amazing! Sarika smiled and clapped. For some reason, she was really happy. Huh? Where's Nan today? Student council. She was out for a while, so she has a lot of work to do, she says. Kawahara came and said we couldn't have her today. You can't have her today. Ma, I need the muffet in my buffet. Well, the buffet in my muffet. I don't know. Oh, so it's war. Okay, Taku, let's go steal her back. Huh? No, that's fine. What you doing, buddy? You wiping your food on my couch? All right, well, better than on me, I guess. I didn't want any more trouble with the student council, or Kawahara more specifically. Wow, you're back to the old loser, Taku. You were so cool for a while, too. Huh? What are you talking about? Facing off with that scary psychic, sneaking into hospital basements. You were really cool when you were following the case, you know? She's all blushing. Was I? Kurisu got super mad at me and told me not to go chasing after danger, though. But now that all seemed like the distant past. Even though it hadn't even been a week. The case is really over, right? Not for long. That night, the 23rd, when there had been no murder, the rest of the world had started to declare that the return of the new generation madness was over. But I still hadn't believed it then. I thought it wasn't over at all. But the next day I'd heard shocking news from Shinjo. Senri Minamisawa, the woman who threatened us so much. Oh, right, we know that she's dead. Okay, never mind. Was found burnt to death in her condo.
What? Henry was.
Yeah, Arimura and I both saw the video. There's no doubt about it. Well, it's the woman we think is her, but maybe it's not her. Do we know that she's really the same person? Do we? They have different colored eyes, all I'm saying. I'd spent a long time thinking that night. But in the end, I had no choice but to tell Kurusu about her death.
Hi, what are you doing? Stop trying to chew my remotes. Not my remotes, my headset. You gotta stop chewing my headset cord. Hand my headset. No, that's not for you. Nobody wants to hear you. You talk, but you can't chew my headset.
If you can hear little tonking noises, it's the bird chewing it.
Don't do that. That's not nice.
Go sit on the other shoulder. When I told her eyes went wide, and then she looked down silently.
You're allowed to talk because you talk nice. You don't scream. You're a good boy.
Her long hair hid her face, and I couldn't see her expression. I don't know what to say, but...
Now...
Huh?
Now it's over, right? The person who was after you and Yui is gone, right?
Well, that's what Shinjo thinks.
I see. Good.
I kind of feel bad for her because she lost her friend and she was all sad, and then all of a sudden she found out her friend's alive but might be trying to murder her family, and then now her friend is dead. Not trying to murder her family anymore, but it's still a weird place to be, you know? But she raised her head. Her eyes were a little wet. Oh, she raised her head. Her eyes were a little wet, but she was silent. She was quietly smiling.
Ow! Do you want me to pet you or not? You want me to pet you, but then you bite me. You're mean. Not being mean.
The police still hadn't made any announcement about a suspect in the killing being burnt to death. Not only was Senri Minamisawa a minor, but she may have been driven to the crime by Chaos Child Syndrome, a form of PTSD experienced by young survivors of the Shibuya earthquakes. Didn't they... A minor. Is minor different in Japan because didn't they make a comment that Rika was 19? 18 or 19? That's not a minor. Shinjo had said it was an extremely delicate matter. And since the circumstances of her death were so strange, the forensics people were getting nowhere. There was an internal war over how the police should release the information. I mean, she could have lied, obviously. Like, oh yeah, I'm 18 or 19 and she's really 17. But like, you know what I mean? It just makes it seem, are we sure that was really Senri and she didn't just have her ID or something? I don't know. I don't know. But anyway. But also it just seems weird that they'd bring Senri around. Oh, she's trying to kill us with fire. And then all of a sudden she ends up dead. And then what? Like, nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, she was this huge part and now she's gone. Wait, what? You know? But, yeah, if she was out to kill us because she just hated people like us, and then it wasn't Senri, it was someone else, and then Senri, but then that's a whole other weird thing. I don't know. I don't know if it makes it weirder or, like, less weird. Like, because if it was like, oh, hey, Senri's alive. Oh, never mind, she's dead. Well, that was rude. Why'd you have to bring her back? It could have just been anybody. You know what I mean? Like, but then, like, but Kurusu also knew about the experiments. That's kind of weird. That's a whole side weird. But then if it was not Senri and she just had her ID and it was this other girl, then it's like, okay, well then you brought up this whole thing of Senri, like Senri's dead. But no, she's alive, but now she's dead. Oh, but never mind, she isn't. And then it's like, holy fucking shit, could you stop? Like, that seems a lot. You know? If Rika and Senri were two different people. Like, there's a point where it's like, yes, it's complex enough that there's a lot of different little pieces going in and ooh, okay. Then all of a sudden it gets like, well, this is overly complicated and weird now. So it's like, are we getting to that level with like Senri or Rika, Senrika, whatever? Why was she coming after us? We don't know, but she was. And she was setting fires around where the other psychics were getting killed. But I don't think she had anything to do with it, because why would she have then killed herself. You know what I mean? But that person tried to, or they were working with her. You know what I mean? They were using her so that someone would see their delusion. You know what I mean? Well, then again, the murder victims see the delusion. That's all that matters, right? The killer can see the victims, but the victims can't use their power back. Some of them might not even know about die swords. You know what I mean? Like we do and stuff like that. But like Otani can see the future. He might not know that he can do. He knows he can see the future, but he might not know about die swords or anything like that. You think the way we see it in the corner of our vision, but whatever, not important. Anyway, but that person kind of went into his house. They knew him. But did they? You know what I mean? Maybe Senrika, because we don't know what her real name is. We don't know if it's the same person or, and she's using an alias or what. But anyway, she could have been the one that knocked on the door and went to talk to him so that then this other killer is using their power and, well, I mean, it wouldn't matter though if she was there. If she was there or not, right? Because all you have to do is someone else has to share your delusion. So the killer could be watching everyone. You know what I mean? Is watching. I can see you. You don't know that I'm watching you. I'm the killer. Then I'm watching you. You're there. You can see my delusion because there's someone else there. The target doesn't have to know anyone's watching them. So somebody was watching us. So that makes you wonder, was it one of our friends? Somebody that was in the cafe with us? I'm just saying, right? It was Serica. She's too fucking cheery. But they could have, anybody in the cafe. Whoever is the killer, which is bound to be someone that we know, all I'm saying, okay? It is bound to be someone that we've met that has a Sprite. It's not just a random person, because that would just defeat it would be so much better if the twist is like it's someone we know. But they were in the cafe, so they could see us. They shared, like, no one else shared the delusion, though. That's interesting. But they could just be really strong and be able to target. So we thought we were alone. But then we managed to break free. But was Senri really there? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting. Was she there? Was she trying to protect people? And then, like, she got in the way. And then we broke free, so they went after her? You know what I mean? But, well, like, Otani didn't use his power to kill himself. Neither did what's her fucking name. None of them did except for Senri, so... Interesting. It's kind of intriguing. Well, anyway, so she could have been involved because there were always fires around. So, like, I'm just really confused how it all ties together because I don't think that she's the actual killer. Because it's like, then she's dead, and then there's somebody else, but, like, how she ties in with them, and which one of our actual friends is trying to kill us? It's probably not Kunasato. You know what I mean? Because she hates everybody, but it'd be too obvious if it was her. But anyway. Also, I could be wrong about this, but it seemed to me that the fact that she was a human test subject at AH Tokyo General might have played a role, too. If she became famous, the media and internet might start looking into her past, and they might find out about the human experiments. It would make sense if someone who wanted to avoid that was putting pressure on the police. All they have to do is not release her real name. They don't have to say Senri. They could say Rika Haida. And then people would be like, oh my god, who was she really? Because they'd find out that they didn't know who she was past that, and you know what I mean? It's not like you have a face of the victim. She fried. Hey, Miyashiro. Huh? Oh, sorry, what's up? What are we gonna do with that? Ito pointed to the map on the wall. Should we put it away? We might not need it anymore. I stood in front of it again. The map was crammed with all the information we'd gathered so far. It all looked faded, like something that had happened a long time ago. Oh, right. I found 2 photographs on the map that I'd completely forgotten about. The 6th and 7th incidents in the New Generation Madness, Yummy Hand and DQN puzzle. And notes next to them read October 28th and November 4th. Isn't it the 27th? Oh, someone else is going to die tomorrow. Today's the 28th, huh? Oh, it's today! Oh, I thought yesterday. I thought today was the 27th. Yeah. Ito nodded. He seemed to know what I meant. Then I saw another note I'd stuck up there in my own handwriting. It was one I'd been thinking about ever since I was told about Senri Minamisawa's death. Serial killer kills multiple people, including pyrokinetic. Is it really over? That's what everybody says. And if there was another killer, they should have done something on the 23rd, since Senri Minamisawa didn't, right? Yeah, I see. Well, she tried, but I think they tried to kill us. Whether she was involved or not, they tried to kill us. We broke away, like somehow got out of it, and then they had to go after her, and it just happened to be on the 20. Well, they said she wasn't seen at her apartment on the 24th or something, but they went after her after the fact, I think. Maybe like, whoa, we're gonna kill this kid, and then shit, she got in the way, or he broke free, so we'll kill her. Like, you know what I mean? How do we know she didn't die on the 23rd, though? But nothing happened, which means it's impossible, I think. We're taking them off. Ito took the note off the map. Let's just give it up. I think it's hard on the vice president. Oh. Yeah, Shin might be right. You want to give it up because it's you, isn't it? It's those two. It's both of them. Although neither one of them react when we whipped out the sword. Do we? Are we sure they didn't? They're like, what? What's going on? You would be good at protecting. You would be good at lying, right? Well, but then again, Artemura would have been like, you're lying. You can totally see it. Right? That means that it should be somebody that we don't know. But, like, that just doesn't seem as much fun, you know? Anyway, I see. I remembered Kurusu's sad eyes when I told her about Senri Minamisawa's death. Again, like the poor girl. All right, we can be done with this then. I slowly removed the map. But now the wall seems kind of plain, doesn't it? I know we're over time, but whatever. It's been here for so long, yeah. Right? Let's find some other case, Taku. Something that'll astonish everybody. Yeah, that's why we formed the newspaper club. Yeah. Sarika smiled again, the same way she always did. And Ito finally started to grin, too. This time, let's pick something that won't get the vice president mad at us. I know, I've learned... Oh, that's me. I know, I've learned my lesson from this one. Even Kazuki turned away from her game and gave an in agreement. You're a lollipop or a squid hanging out of her mouth. Okay, perfect timing. Oh, God. This is some shit happening. Oh, wait, are we going back? Oh, no, it's our trailer. Never mind. I was like, this is some shit happening. It's our trailer. Never mind. We're like, I'm going to go back to my trailer. Okay. We're going back to our RV. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this part up here. Yeah, so I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.